Downtown Calgary is playing Metropolis, better known as the Big Apricot in this film. In the center of the city is a skyscraper that has on its top Webster's Penthouse. No better example of the minute planning that goes into a Superman film can be given than the fact that two split-second elements of a scene can be shot 5,000 miles apart and made to look as if it all happened on the same day in the same place. Back in Pinewood, Richard Pryor put on his skis. In an elaborate stunt, he has to ski down the slope, out of the penthouse, along a roof, and into the street. Well, his stand-in Greg is doing the roof skiing. He's a good stuntman, but he's never skied before, especially down a skyscraper. Nothing broken. We'll get back to him to see how he finally manages it. Down at street level, a robbery is taking place in front of thousands of witnesses. It makes good street theater for the onlookers. What they don't realize is that the robbery isn't part of the main plot of Superman 3. It's just one of dozens of interrelated moments that have been plotted to provide a witty title sequence for the film. Few of the people actually working on the scenes know precisely how they will actually fit together. Only those who've seen the essential storyboards can keep track of the sequence of events. Oh, let's check how Greg's getting on. Back at the title sequence, a policeman lets off a bullet and it hits a car tire.
If you are using a lot of physical effects, it's better that if you have someone that can draw them, that you draw what you want to achieve or have it drawn so that there's no surprise. It's terrible to go on to a day's filming and someone has dug a hole big enough to take a car and you say, I really meant it over there.
This looks like a job for, but unfortunately Clark Kent is otherwise engaged. Besides, due to a recent disaster also in the title sequence, he doesn't appear to have anywhere to change. Go! Nothing seems able to stay up for long in Calgary today. And it looks as if the man in the car is destined to drown. But fortunately, there's one possible place for a quick change. Aaron Smolinski takes up the story.
Well, like, I'm going to be walking down the street, and he can't go into any of the phone booths, so he runs into one of those picture things that you have to press a button to take a picture of you. And he accidentally presses a button when he's getting changed, so he runs out with a Superman suit, and he bumps into me, and he just remembers his pictures are in there, so he runs back in, brings out the pictures, tears off the bottom, and gives it to me. Then he goes.
Cheers. Do you know, that is a lifelong ambition to be rescued by Superman. Honest.
Aaron is more than just any little boy. He played the infant Clark Kent in Superman 1, but he wasn't as strong as he appeared.
A crane lifted it up. Crane lifted up by the front. I was just holding it. I was just holding it, standing on my tippy toes.
Meanwhile, on the glassy ski slopes, there are still problems. Down at street level, things are getting even crazier.
Right, okay.
Surely, even the storyboards can't join these bizarre happenings together.
395, take 2, aim, big cameras.
Action. Got it? Here we go. And action. Go!
Even Clark Kent has to join in the slapstick and catch a flying custard pie. No easy act.
Go again. Woo! Back on action. And action.
When it comes to the real thing, he's a professional down to his fingertips.
Turnover.
400, take 2, A and B cameras.
Bullseye. Now, can Greg get it right as well?
Action.
Well done. It was a difficult shot and he could have broken a leg. Was it worth it? Here's how it looks in the finished film.
I can't ski!
One of the final scenes that cameraman Bob Painter and his crew had to shoot on the streets of Calgary was the descent of Superman to the level of a street drunk. Veteran makeup artist Stuart Freeborn had a job with a difference. He had to make the man who stands for truth, justice, and the American way look evil. The rot set in when Richard Pryor made Superman a present of some nearly pure kryptonite. Not enough to kill him, but enough to turn him away from the paths of absolute goodness.
You, Superman, with this token of our appreciation, it's the government's way of saying you did a fine job.
I can't get through here, lady. There's something happening.
Superman's drunk.
Ricky! Ricky!
What are you looking at? Huh?
Even Lana and Ricky are too late to save him. The writers have done their worst.
Inevitably, the whole Jekyll and Hyde notion began to occur to us, and we thought, why not do that? Let's go for broke on it. And so we found a way via wonderful kryptonite, the Deus Ex Machina of all Superman legends, a special kind of kryptonite that goes a little bit wrong in this case because it's man-made and causes a strange thing to happen to Superman, which is that he becomes first a little forgetful and then a little malicious and then mean and tough, and it's Mr. Hyde. And by showing by taking this icon of good and turning him into something not very pleasant, we allowed the good Clark to step forward as another character until
with his own decent virtues.
So that finally you wind
so
up...
that the battle becomes one between Superman, who, through no fault of his own, under the influence, as it were, has become distorted and contorted into an almost evil personality.
The showdown between Clark Kent and the now evil Superman was shot on the backlot of Pinewood Studios in England in a specially created auto graveyard. Literally hundreds of wrecked cars were needed to build this Detroit cemetery. But the main problem facing the film's designer was that they had to be American. The cost of shipping so many car wrecks from America would have been enormous. But with a stroke of luck, a local junk dealer in England who specialized in spare parts for American cars was forced to shift the site of his business, and this godsend provided the film crew with the battered material they needed. Thus, an amphitheater of steel was created to house a classic one-man show, the Man of Steel's fight with himself. The necessary extra machinery was devised by Colin Chilvers.
Well, we've had so many different effects with this big car crusher, which we had to rig to work and have Chris Reeves inside it so that we didn't crush him. We had to make sure that we had enough room left in there for Chris. It was designed around the car crusher, and then we had to slightly redesign it for our own purposes. And my department fixed all the hydraulics to make it work, and we tested it to make sure that it was safe for Chris. And we have to do things which a regular car crusher wouldn't have to do, which is like close very quickly, because of the film time is no one wants to sit and watch a car crusher close for 15 seconds, so we had to get it down to 5 seconds.
For Christopher Reeve, it's possibly the most physical piece of acting he's had to do in the dual, now triple parts.
One, two, three.
I played it like the ultimate migraine headache. You know, there's this demon within him. And the demon within him is the good Clark Kent, who is like the albatross around his neck. You know, this guy who limits him, this guy, this fool that he has to act, this glasses, this thing. And Clark Kent, evil Superman, is the demon within him.
With 5 years' experience in the part, Reeve works in close collaboration with director Lester to get the action and the camera angles perfect.
That's the machine that hurts. Have you tried one? Do we have a...
We think we're all right. And it's wonderful to have someone like Christopher who is there saying, I think that in these circumstances, Superman would or would not do that, or Clark Kent would or would not do that. He certainly now has a great grounding in Superman's feats and his stunts and what he can do and how to achieve them.
Or if we make it another action that is easier to fake, which is a mutton chop, like a rabbit punch. Yeah. You want to try that? Yeah, sure. If you go down, a rabbit punch, and I'll just take it in the teeth. So come into there. Yeah. Are we absolutely married to the left leg? Are we absolutely tied into that idea?
Yeah, I think so. We've seen that in like 4 shots. So I'd keep the left.
Because it'd be real easy tomorrow just to put on the bottom half of that costume and look the other way again.
I'd just as soon see this. Let me see what that looks like. Okay, just from there is enough, really. Okay. And action. Walk away, Paul. That looked quite good. Yeah, no, that looks good.
In this schizophrenic battle of wills, good eventually triumphs over evil. Superman 3 moves to its climax in a cavern at the foot of the Grand Canyon. There, Ross Webster and his two female collaborators have constructed a giant computer. They've chosen to balloon down to their prized possession. But although some of the shots were taken on the back lot at Pinewood, a second unit was dispatched to the shimmering heat of the Grand Canyon itself. The frame they were carrying is suspended from a helicopter, and this enables the 3 stunt doubles for the 3 stars to float from balloons perilously suspended over the canyon. Back on the vast 007 stage at Pinewood Studios, they molded exact replicas of the Arizona rock formations to make the cavern in the canyon. And there, in the midst of it, Ross Webster's giant computer, the biggest in the world. This is the moment when Superman confronts the villains for the first time.
I don't know you, lady. I'm sorry, but that wasn't me. That guy's gone. And you're next, Webster.
Initially, the trio gained the upper hand, wrapping Superman in an invisible skin.
Do you do children's parties? This is the result of a children's party. This is a children's party.
Director Richard Lester wouldn't ask his actors to do anything he wasn't prepared to experience himself.
Now, I'm going to give you a slight bit of a swing this way, Chris, before you get pushed back.
Peter.
Go. Look, Richard, look to him and smile as if... Down, please. Cut. Down. Keep running.
Number.
With Superman at the mercy of the machine and its vicious masters, Richard Pryor has a last-minute change of heart and tries to destroy the monster he designed.
I think you've done it.
But despite his helpfulness, Pryor is attacked by the machine and gets his first taste of flying, backwards.
Oh. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
One, two, three.
No room for a stunt double here, and however big the star, it has to be done again and again until the director is satisfied.
One straight, please. Thank you. That's the one. Thank you.
Okay. 271, take 1 AMB cameras.
Lots of energy. Here we go. And action. Girls!
As the computer begins to take over, things go out of control for the terrible trio. But even in the carefully plotted chaos, there's still room for the occasional bit of fun.
All of a sudden, a guy jumped down with a kind of Batman suit on. He said, "Don't worry, sweetheart, I'll save you." And it was our head stuntman, Paul Weston, which cracked everybody up, especially me.
Then, go.
But the show must go on. Vera meets a fate worse than death.
Sis! Sis! Sis?
Now she's a robot. Vera's hate for Lorelei becomes even more dangerous. She has the power to make people fly.
Right, that's far enough.
Appearing in special effects films these days is something they never prepared you for at drama school. It needs a strong physique and a head for heights.
Go! Rostrum in, please. Straight up, Pam. Anyway. I didn't check Pam, sorry, I didn't hear you.
Even Webster finds himself the victim of his own devilish designs. The actors have to imagine the powerful rays that will be added to the film months later. This surreal battle is a combination of these optical effects and some fearsome mechanical effects on the studio floor.
Two bells. Camera reload.
Again, Christopher Reeve's mind is on how it will look in the completed footage.
Right? And I'm still pulling. And then those things cut out. Meanwhile, pull, and it's a... And getting pulled back like that.
Terrific. That looks very good.
Okay.
That's where you are, David.
Action!
Does Superman survive? Does anyone survive? All will be revealed in the finished film. What doesn't survive is the computer itself. The whole million-dollar construction is wired with hundreds of strategically placed charges to prepare for its ultimate destruction. It's a shot that can't be retaken, so extra cameras are brought in to capture the final explosion. There's an air of military tension as the special effects team plot the explosion. No one is quite sure that it will come off as planned.
Clark gave it to me.
For Christopher Reeve, Superman 3 represented his biggest challenge to date. His style and his actions are now familiar to the audience. They know that he can change from Clark to Superman, and they know that Superman can fly and perform the impossible. In this film, Reeve had to forfeit these elements of surprise and rely on his own skill as an actor. Matched in comedy against the formidable talents of Richard Pryor, to hold our attention and sustain our belief for a third time. Those of us who observed him at work on Superman 3 think he did a pretty good job. During his 5 years on the 3 films, Christopher Reeve has had his own chronometer. His son Matthew was born and learnt to talk. At last, he's found out what Daddy does.
Well, at first he thought that I played a soup man who used to go from door to door like the milkman or the eggman, handing out spoonfuls of chicken noodle and minestrone soup. And he thought, that actually might be what I'm down to when I'm 60. Sort of, hello, I'm the soup man. But he now knows quite well that I'm Superman. If you ask him what Superman does, he says, well, he flies all by himself.